Jesus said, "There will be signs in the sun, the moon and the stars, and on the earth distress among nations, confused by the roaring of the sea and the waves. People will faint from fear and foreboding of what is coming upon the world, for the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. Now when these things begin to take place, stand up and raise your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. Be on guard so that your hearts are not weighed down with dissipation and drunkenness and the worries of this life, and that day catch you unexpectedly like a trap. For it will come upon all who live on the face of the whole earth. Be alert at all times, praying that you may have the strength to escape all these things that will take place, and to stand before the Son of Man."
Well, Deborah, interesting time of year as we come to Advent. Today is the beginning of the church year, and quite a season that tends to get a bit lost, I think, certainly in our tradition with Christmas coming. How do you find that?
Very much so, because Advent is almost multitasking. Advent comes from the Latin word which means coming, and we're looking ahead to the coming of Christ at Christmas. And so we kind of look ahead, but we look back to the very first nativity. But we also look ahead even more than that to the coming of Christ again at the end of time. So there's two sorts of coming that we're looking forward to.
And don't you find you sort of like the Christmas sort of comes forward? I mean, we talk about that each year with the shops, with all the Christmas carols and Christmas shops. But I mean, even us, I know we sort of tend to have to tuck in a nativity play for the children, sort of, you know, maybe in the second week of Advent or something. And maybe that other meaning of the coming of Christ again gets a bit lost there somewhere, or maybe it's just too hard. Do you think? I mean, our reading today is pretty challenging stuff.
Yes, it's kind of, it brings in some of the weirdness factor.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's easy to engage with a little baby because we've all seen little babies.
Yeah,
we kind of know about that. We know what looking ahead to the coming of a baby is like. And all of the getting the room ready, the knitting of the little clothes and all of this. And that's often easier.
Yeah. But this is actually quite rugged stuff. I mean, I was actually thinking we had a while ago an eclipse and the interest that people, and it is a bit weird, when the light goes a bit yellow and funny. And I mean, these are dramatic signs we've got here. So where do we go with this stuff? Tell us a bit about what Jesus was up to. I mean, where are we in the story of Jesus here? Because it's sort of out of the blue, isn't it?
He's in Jerusalem, or just about to come into Jerusalem, and it's the Passover is coming up. The festival of the unleavened bread was near, and so almost the vultures are gathering.
Yeah.
They're starting just after this to do the plot to have Jesus betrayed, handed over to them.
Okay, so it's a tough time for him.
It's a tough time for him, and he's wanting to prepare people both for the tough time he knows they will face when he's arrested, but also looking out from that to the tough time that will happen slightly before the end.
And I think that we've got sort of resonances there about armies around Jerusalem and things. I mean, I think sort of cosmic level stuff, and we know, of course, that in AD 70 that Jerusalem was destroyed. But I know people through the ages often come back and they look at these signs, and there's all this tendency to try and match it all up, or if things happen. But is Jesus actually trying to say something bigger, for any of us in times of crisis, or when, or even just in times of extreme busyness, as December seems to be for us now? Yeah.
There's a lovely sense, isn't there? Because it's incredibly cosmic. It's not just about you and me. It's not just about the human community. There's the entire created world. There's the cosmos getting involved.
And it seems a bit of a mess. So, I mean, and so often we feel our worlds, they talk about going to hell in a handcart sort of thing. I mean, so what's Jesus trying to sort of say through this? Maybe that's what we need to be looking out for.
It's a paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
That all of this stuff, we're living in a time which is bigger than me. Sometimes that can make us feel incredibly small and insignificant and scared, and there are hints of the fear in there, but also bigger than me in the sense of God is the one who is ultimately in control, and that's why you get the stuff at the end about be on your guard, be alert. Don't have your hearts weighed down, and there's
keep
a comforting
your focus
there.
sort of stuff.
Keep your focus, and all of the sense of these cosmic things are going to happen. How then do we live now?
Right.
And isn't that the question for us?
Which is
today?
something we can deal with. I mean, we can sort of say, well, the big stuff that we can't deal with. I love that image that you've got. I think of raising your heads. It always reminds me of a dog sort of sniffing the air, and sort of saying, well, when the master's coming back. And I love that image, which is a really encouraging one of looking out for Jesus and the one whom we know and trust. Yeah. Maybe that's a good place to end today.
Yes.
Yeah.